Kia ora koutou tamariki. We are up to chapter 12. Sorry I didn't read to you on the weekend. I thought I might try and have a weekend. But anyway, have you guys got a bear in your window? If you look over my shoulder here, round about there, you'll see Rupert. And he's up in my window for all the children that are walking around the neighbourhood going on a bear hunt. You should go on a bear hunt around where you live and see if you can see bears in the windows. It's really cool. I've got a few up my street. And Rupert, even though he doesn't have an ear and he's missing a nose, is still waving at all the children walking by. So yay, Rupert. Anyway, we're up to chapter 12, and that is what it said on the golden ticket. Remember, Charlie got a golden ticket. Okay, here we go. Charlie burst through the door shouting, "Mother, mother, mother!" Mrs. Bucket was in the old grandparents' room serving their evening soup. Cabbage soup. "Mother!" yelled Charlie, rushing in on them like a hurricane. "Look, I've got it! Mother, look! The last golden ticket, it's mine. I found some money in the street. I bought 2 bars of chocolate and the second one had a golden ticket, and there were crowds of people around me wanting to see it, and the shopkeeper rescued me and I ran all the way home and here I am. It's a 5th golden ticket, Mother. I found it." Oh, Mrs. Bucket simply stood and stared, while the 4 old grandparents who were sitting up in bed, balancing bowls of soup on their laps, all dropped their spoons with a clatter and froze amongst their pillows. For about 10 seconds, there was absolute silence in the room. 10 seconds is actually a very long time. Nobody dared speak or move. It was a magic moment. And then very softly, Grandpa Joe said, "You're pulling our leg, Charlie, aren't you? You're having a little joke." "I'm not," cried Charlie, rushing up to the bed and holding out the large, beautiful golden ticket for him to see. Grandpa Joe leaned forward and took a close look. His nose was almost touching the ticket. The others watched him, waiting for the verdict. Then very slowly, with a slow and marvellous grin spreading all over his face, Grandpa Joe lifted his head and looked straight at Charlie. The colour was rushing back into his cheeks and his eyes were wide and open, shining with joy. And at the centre of each eye, right in the very centre, that little black pupil, a little spark of wild excitement was slowly dancing. And then the old man took a deep breath and suddenly, with no warning whatsoever, an explosion seemed to take place inside him. He threw up his arms and yelled, "Yippee!" And at the same time, his long, bony body rose out of the bed and his bowl of soup went flying into the face of poor Grandma Josephine. And in one fantastic leap, this old fellow of 96 and a half, who hadn't been out of bed for the last 20 years, jumped onto the floor and started doing a dance of victory in his pyjamas. Here he is. Looks very excited. "Yippee!" shouted 3 cheers for Charlie. "Hip hip hooray!" And at this point the door opened. Mr. Bucket walked into the room. He was cold and tired. He looked it. All day long he'd been shoveling snow on the streets. Oh, that would be a cold job. "Gripes," he shouted, "what's going on in here?" And it didn't take them long to tell him what had happened. "I don't believe it. It's not possible." "Show him the ticket, Charlie," shouted Grandpa Joe, who was still dancing on the floor in his striped pyjamas. "Show your father the 5th and last golden ticket in the world." "Oh, let's see it, Charlie," Mr. Bucket said, collapsing into a chair and holding out his hand. Charlie came forward with the precious document. It was a very beautiful thing, this golden ticket, having been made so it seemed from a sheet of pure gold, hammered out almost to the thinness of paper. And on one side of it, printed in some very clever method, with jet black letters, was the invitation itself from Mr. Wonka. "Read it aloud," said Grandpa Joe, climbing back into bed at last. "Let's all hear exactly what it says." Mr. Bucket held the lovely golden ticket up close to his eyes. His hands were trembling slightly, like this. And he seemed to be overcome by the whole business. He took several breaths, and then he cleared his throat and he said, "All right, I'll read it. Here we go. Greetings to you, the lucky founder of this golden ticket, from Mr. Willy Wonka. I shake you warmly by the hand. Tremendous things are in store for you. Many wonderful surprises await you. For now, I do invite you to come to my factory to be my guest for 1 whole day. You and all others lucky enough to find my golden tickets. I, Willy Wonka, will conduct you around the factory myself, showing you everything there is to see. And afterwards, when it's time to leave, you will be escorted home by a procession of large trucks. These trucks, I can promise you, will be loaded enough with enough delicious eatables to last you your entire household for many years. And if any time thereafter you run out of supplies, you would just have to come back to the factory and show me the golden ticket, and I'll be happy to refill your cupboard with whatever you want. And this way, you'll be able to keep yourself supplied with tasty morsels for the rest of your life. This by no means is the most exciting thing that will happen on the day of your visit. I'm preparing other surprises for you, even more marvellous and more fantastic, for you and all my beloved golden ticket holders. Mystic, marvellous surprises will entrance, delight, astonish, intrigue, and perplex you beyond measure. In your wildest dreams, you could not imagine what such things would happen to you. Just wait and see. And now, here are your instructions for the day. The day I have chosen for this visit is the first day in the month of February. On this day, and no other, you must come to the factory gates at 10 o'clock sharp in the morning. Don't be late. And you're allowed to bring with you either 1 or 2 members of your own family to look after you and to ensure you do not get into mischief. And one more thing, be certain to have this ticket with you. Otherwise, you will not be admitted. Signed, Willy Wonka. First day of February, cried Mrs. Bucket. But that's tomorrow. Today is the last day of January. I know it is. Oh, cripes, said Mr. Bucket. I think you're right. You're just in time, shouted Grandpa Joe. There's not a moment to lose. You must start making preparations at once. Right, wash your face, comb your hair, scrub your hands, brush your teeth, blow your nose, cut your nails, polish your shoes, iron your shirt. Oh, for heaven's sake, get all that mud off your pants. You must get ready, my boy. You must get ready for the biggest day of your life. And don't overexcite yourself, Grandpa. They all are talking. Where was I up to? Don't fluster poor Charlie. We must all try and be very calm. Now, first thing to decide to do is who's going with Charlie to the factory. I will, shouted Grandpa Joe, leaping out of bed once again. I'll take him. I'll look after him. You leave it to me. Mrs. Bucket smiled at the old man, and then she turned to her husband and said, How about you, dear? Do you think you ought to go? Well, Mr. Bucket said, pausing to think about it. No, I'm not sure I should. But you must. There's no must about it, my dear, said Mr. Bucket gently. Mind you, I'd love to go. It'd be tremendously exciting. But on the other hand, I believe the person that really deserves to go most is Grandpa Joe. He seems to know more about it than we do. Provided, of course, he feels well enough. Yippee! Shouted Grandpa Joe, seizing Charlie by the hands and dancing about the room. He certainly sings well enough, Mrs. Bucket said, laughing. Perhaps you're right after all. Perhaps Grandpa Joe should be the one to go with him. I certainly can't go myself, and leave the other 3 people all alone in bed for a whole day. Hallelujah! Cried Grandpa Joe. Praise the Lord! At that moment there came a loud knock on the front door. Mr. Bucket went to open it, and the next moment swarms of newspaper men and photographers were flooding into the house. They'd all tracked down the founder of the 5th golden ticket, and now they wanted to get the full story on the front pages of the morning papers. For several hours there was complete pandemonium in the little house, and it must have been nearly midnight before Mr. Bucket was able to get rid of them so that Charlie could go to bed. Because there's a big day tomorrow. And that's the next chapter's called The Big Day Arrives. Oh, I wonder what he's going to see there. Family seem very excited. Okay, well, I'll catch you guys tomorrow and I'll read you the next chapter. Have fun.